circus company get millions in government incentives for jobs after closing the circus and announcing layoffs? How could the accused Fort Lauderdale shooter get a valid Florida driver's license if he did not live in Florida? We'll explain. Plus, with President Trump at war with the national media.
As you know, I have a running war with the media.
We'll take a closer look at the media coverage and why both sides claim the other is getting a pass.
They're scum. So bad, so illegitimate. They are just terrible people.
This is Money, Power, and Politics. We'll start with President Trump reversing President Obama yet again by advancing the Keystone Pipeline, which would pump oil from the oil sands of Canada into the United States. Trump says this will create construction jobs, and he wants America to take around a quarter of the profits, but he still has to negotiate the terms of that if, in fact, he can negotiate it. Of course, this sets up a clash with environmentalists who say this feeds global warming.
But Trump ran and won on clashing with a lot of groups, including the establishment of his own party and the national media.
Yeah, so journalists, they're supposed to shine the light and keep politicians honest, but Trump, of course, has claimed that many are being dishonest. And a Gallup study late last year found Americans' trust in the media dipped to an all-time low. So we're going to start tonight with a closer look at why trust has dipped the way it has, how part of it at least relates to politics, and why both parties are ripping the national media for different reasons.
You show crime stories and you show fires, because that's what folks watch. It's all about ratings.
If you like the media, give them a big hand, and if you don't, give them a big boo. I had a feeling.
Well, as Murrow put it, journalists strive to teach, illuminate, and inspire our community. And in many different ways, the news media can always do better on that. But now journalists are caught in a crossfire because Democrats and Republicans are accusing journalists of going too soft on one side or the other.
There are serious issues at stake in this election, behind all the frivolous stuff that gets covered every day. I sure do get frustrated with the way this campaign is covered.
The former president accused journalists of pandering to Donald Trump for ratings, which would drive Democrats who buy into that to dislike the media.
Guys in the back, I'm just telling you the truth about how I feel about this. Do you mind if I just vent for a second?
In fact, Obama has made the case that the news media enabled Trump and is therefore responsible for his rise in politics by not asking tough questions or holding him accountable.
The electorate would be better served if that happened. It would be better served if billions of dollars in free media came with serious accountability.
Well, Trump has dominated news coverage since last summer, and Obama framed much of that coverage as gossip and fluff as opposed to the mission of political journalism.
But it's to probe and to question and to dig deeper and to demand more. And so again, that argument that President Trump has been getting a pass has driven a lot of Democrats to lose faith in the news media. But at the same time, a lot of Republicans see it the other way. They're seeing it from President Trump's perspective, who's saying the media is too tough, unfairly tough, and dishonest in covering him. So Republicans lose faith in the media too.
The press is very, very dishonest, and I think people are wise to them.
To Trump's point, while he has received a fortune worth of media coverage, much of it has painted him in a negative light.
That's a typical case of the press with misinterpretation. They take a half a sentence.
Reporters have been digging into Trump quite a bit, from his business dealings and bankruptcies to claims that he ripped off students at Trump University, and Trump does not like it.
They're scum. So bad, so illegitimate. They are just terrible people. Pretty good percentage is really a terrible group of people.
So if journalists fueled Trump, they didn't just do it by rolling over, as President Obama claims. They also fired up his base by piling on with accusations they cannot fully prove.
You got to see this guy. I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
Yeah, case in point, headline, Trump mocks reporter with disability. The New York Times and others convicted him, though Trump insisted he did not know the reporter he was quoting was disabled. So as we noted at the time, while it may look as if Trump may have mocked a disabled man, Trump is so animated you could also claim that he's mocking ping pong players or people with vertigo or someone choking on dinner. So while soft coverage appears to have turned off one side, harsh media coverage appears to have turned off the other, and each side tends to follow perspective that fits their worldview, so they don't see where the other side is coming from. And the Gallup study shows we've seen a deeper dip in Republican faith in the media, and that goes back to a long-running distrust of national media that goes way beyond Trump.
You know, the Democrats have the ultimate super PAC. It's called the mainstream media.
This BS coming from the lamestream media.
Yeah, Republican distrust of the mainstream media really took off with Richard Nixon.
I have never heard or seen such outrageous, vicious, distorted reporting in 27 years of public life.
When Nixon became president and TV journalists questioned his war policy in Vietnam, he dispatched his vice president, Spiro Agnew, to declare war on the mainstream media.
The people of this country have the right to make up their own minds and form their own opinions about a presidential address without having the president's words and thoughts characterized through the prejudices of hostile critics before they can even be digested.
Well, Nixon went on to rally what he called a silent majority to challenge his media critics and drive his reelection. And then journalists challenged him and took him down later over Watergate. Nixon framed it as a media feeding frenzy driven by a liberal agenda, and it stuck again long after Nixon. And now that distrust is amplified with Trump's claims that the media is, what did he say?
They're scum. Absolute scum. Remember that. Scum.
And when the news media makes mistakes, like the Time reporter who wrongly noted Trump removed a bust of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. from the Oval Office, it plays right into Trump's narrative that he's getting unfair coverage, and so his administration responds with alternative facts.
There is this constant theme to undercut the enormous support that he has.
Are you saying there's a conspiracy here?
I'm saying there's an obsession by the media to delegitimize this president. And we are not going to sit around and let it happen.
It undermines the credibility of the entire White House press office on day one.
Don't be so overly dramatic about it, Chuck. You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts to that.
As you know, I have a running war with the media. They are among the most dishonest human beings on earth.
And today, Trump had another dispute with the fact checkers because he repeated the claim that millions of people voted illegally. Back in November, Trump tweeted that he lost the popular vote because of millions of people who voted illegally. Then today, he repeated his claim when he met with congressional leaders.
And his spokesman, Sean Spicer, took a swing at this. He cited a study from 9 years ago when reporters pressed him for evidence of fraud last year.
Used to maintain that belief based on studies and evidence that people have presented to him.
But exactly what evidence?
Speaker
Ryan today said there's no evidence. The National Association of Secretaries of State say that they don't agree with the president's assessment. What evidence do you have?
As I said, I think the president has believed that for a while based on studies and information he has.
Is the White House going to formally ask for a probe into this alleged?
No, I think he won very, very handily with 306 electoral votes. 33 states. He's very comfortable with his win, but I think
to trouble him if he's bringing it up.
I think he was having a discussion with some folks and mentioned something in passing, which has been a long-standing belief that he's maintained.
And President Trump also maintains his faith in FBI Director James Comey. He did not plan to resign, and the president wants him to stay. By the way, Comey is 4 years into a 10-year term.
And Health Secretary nominee Tom Price was back in the hot seat today. And in what was one of the most interesting moments, I would say, of the week or the year, he was asked if Trump has worked with him, get this, worked with him and nearly finished a replacement for Obamacare, as Trump has said.
President Trump said he's working with you on a replacement plan for the ACA, which is nearly finished and will be revealed after your confirmation. Is that true?
It's true that he said that, yes.
So not that he's ever done this before, but did the president lie? Did the president lie about this, that he's not working with you? He said he's working with you. Is that, I know we don't use the word lie here because we're polite when presidents say statements that aren't true, but did he lie to the public about working with you?
I've had conversations with the president about health care, yes.
There you have it. Now, coming up, Trump is starting his term with unusually low approval ratings, at least from Gallup and others. So our pollster, Matt Towery, will take a closer look at the numbers and break them down. Okay, welcome back, and please welcome our pollster, Matt Towery, just back from Washington, D.C. in the inauguration.
You made it.
I survived, yes.
Let's start with so-called alternative facts. Trump getting in the tit-for-tat over the crowd size of his inauguration, then follows that up today by maintaining that millions of people voted illegally. Where does this take him?
Well, you know, this is a new White House, and they're oftentimes extensions from the campaigns. And I think what we're seeing here is they're still in campaign mode, and the press is pretty much in the same mode they had during the campaign as well. Now, I was there, so I can tell you that the crowd was actually larger at the end than was reported, and many people couldn't get in because of the protesters. That's why you saw those empty spaces. But as to whether it was the largest or not the largest, I mean, Kellyanne Conway said she was giving alternative facts, or he was giving alternative facts. This will all melt away at some point because we'll go on to things much more important than issues related to illegals voting in the election or how many people filled up the mall.
Okay, so Gallup gives Trump the lowest approval rating of any incoming president in the modern era. You're good at predicting things. Where will he be, say, in 6 months?
Oh, I don't think he'll be all that higher. I mean, this is not a presidency, in my judgment, Craig, and to be up there and have the feeling of the division in this country that you see. I mean, it was visible and palpable. You could just feel it and see it. I don't really necessarily think that Trump is going to be crawling up to the 55 or 60% level anytime soon. That would take either a real taming of his views, or it would take a miraculous change in the view of a lot of people in the media and on the other side of the aisle. So I think Trump is going to be a controversial president for a long time to come. And I think he's probably comfortable in that position because they feel like they have a mandate to get done what they want to do. I'm not sure that they really deny the fact that the majority of the country didn't vote for them, but they feel like they won it fair and square, and they're going to take that mandate and run with it. So you've got two completely sides of views to this. And I'm not saying either one is right, but I just don't see Donald Trump getting all that popular with the rest of the electorate anytime soon.
But how does this affect democracy? I mean, you've got a president whose team is lashing out these alternative facts. How long can this really last without some kind of...
It's a great question. The reason you're seeing this is because we're not a democracy, we're a democratic republic. And because we're a democratic republic, it has a different take. You don't have to have everyone like you. You just have to get those within the system. The Electoral College is part of that democratic republic. We have other parts of it. The Senate confirms, the House doesn't. So they're working through that process. They're not thinking about democracy as much as democratic republic, and that definition really gives you an idea. I'm not saying it's right again. I'm not saying they're going to win anybody else over. In fact, I'm beginning to think that's not going to happen. But they don't need to, as long as they can hold their majority of votes in the Senate and in the House, as long as they can hold on to that.
Matt, as always, thank you for your time and perspective.
Absolutely.
All right, let's shift over to state news now because officials cannot explain how the accused Fort Lauderdale airport killer got a Florida driver's license. Esteban Santiago does not appear to have resided in the state of Florida, and the Real ID law, of course, requires a lot of documentation to get a license or have one renewed. We know this if we've gone to the DMV in recent years. But a state spokeswoman said Santiago somehow showed enough information to get a valid state license in 2012. And the Sun Sentinel newspaper out of Fort Lauderdale reported that Santiago used his Florida license to get a permit to carry a gun.
And published reports out of Britain claim there was a missile mishap off the Florida coast. The Sunday Times reported the British government launched an unarmed missile from a submarine. The paper said it was a missile test last year off of the Florida coast and that it strayed off course and may have headed toward the United States. The British government would not confirm that report.
Slightly disconcerting there. Meanwhile, the Ringling Brothers in Barnum in Bailey Circus will close this year, but the parent company that runs it can still get millions in state and local incentives across Florida for creating jobs. How can that be? While Failed Entertainment announced layoffs with the circus coming to an end, it can still get, though, more than $3 million for adding jobs because the layoffs are for, quote, traveling jobs, which means under the law, they don't count against other jobs that Feld has added in Florida for other shows that it produces. And a Feld spokesman stressed the company is, in fact, adding jobs and more jobs, in fact, than expected.
And coming up, we'll take a closer look at the president's decision to nix the Trans-Pacific Partnership and cut funding for abortion. We'll show you what it all means after the break.
And so President Trump continues to sign these orders that dismantle much of what would have been former President Obama's legacy.
Yeah, over the weekend in several cities, people protested against the new leader of the free world. And Mike Flannery takes a look at how some of President Trump's first moves in office will affect American citizens and those across the world.
Next is the policy in regard to Mexico City.
For some reason, Priebus talked in political baffle-gab instead of saying what Trump was actually signing, an order to end all federal funding for abortions overseas. Was he shy because abortion and reproductive rights were a key issue this weekend for many of the estimated 3 million protesters from coast to coast? Millions of Trump supporters, on the other hand, hope the president does deliver soon on his campaign pledge to appoint a conservative, pro-life Supreme Court justice to the vacancy created by the death of Antonin Scalia. The Senate must ratify the nomination, and it could provoke the biggest battle of the year on Capitol Hill. For now, the White House wants to focus on jobs.
Great thing for the American worker.
This Trump signature formally withdrew the United States from a trade deal President Obama negotiated with 11 Asian and Pacific nations. It was a topic when Trump met with labor leaders from building trades unions, including carpenters, sheet metal workers, and iron workers. His press secretary said the labor leaders complained that Democrats took them for granted.
The president was asking these folks today, how many of you have been in the Oval Office? 3 of them raised their hand. We talked to some of these union leaders, and we hear, we didn't get a lot of attention. And here we are on working day 1, and you've got the president reaching out.
President Trump's already forecasting he'll be re-elected, confident that a strong performance on jobs and the economy will outweigh controversy and voter concern about social issues.
And again, that was Mike Flannery. Coming up, President Trump meets with U.S. automakers. We'll look at this plan to force them to bring jobs back to America. President Trump really going hard after one of his campaign promises, which is bringing jobs back to the United States by inviting the leaders of automakers to the White House
and
today.
Especially jobs in the upper Midwest, right? That's where he's focusing a lot of his time. States like Michigan, where he won, by the way, that tipped the scales. If you take a look at this meeting, 1 hour with U.S. automakers. Last time a president met with the U.S. automaker leaders would have been, I believe, 2011, when they met with President Obama over doubling or increasing fuel efficiency standards. Now, very different. President Trump wants to discuss rolling back regulations. Will that be one of them? We'll find out. Cutting taxes as well. That's the carrot side of it. The stick side, look, if you don't bring jobs back to this country and you import cars from Mexico, you're going to pay a 35% tariff. So with that, we will see how that type of pressure resonates with the auto industry. Check out our YouTube channel as well, Craig Patrick's Money, Power, and Politics, and click subscribe for full shows you may have missed, extended interviews, as well as our investigations of money and power politics. Marissa, that's our show.
Good night.
See you.